I started doing this by mistake when I was making a smoothie, putting yogurt and berries and so forth into a smoothie. I was using frozen berries, and I said, hey, those berries will thaw out 2 or 3 hours. It'll keep the yogurt cold. I won't have to worry about carrying around those ice packs and that kind of thing. Summer's right around the corner, and it's time to start thinking about how we can improve the performance of our refrigerators, whether they be the absorption style like the Dometics and different brands that use absorption, in other words, propane to heat a burner and create refrigeration, or if we happen to have one of the 12-volt compressor style fridges. Either way, there are things we can do to improve the performance of them. So here we are in the van. Right over there is the fridge, and that's the subject of our conversation. How can we make that optimize the efficiency of that so it works as good as it can? Oh yeah, I'm in my old Tilly hat. The new one hasn't come in yet, but yes, I am getting sent a new hat. I'm excited about that because I haven't had a new hat in 20 years. What I wanted to do before we talk about that is talk about this notebook for a second. The Unbound notebook. There's method to my madness. When I do one of these videos, I have to think through what I'm going to do and try and organize it a little bit. I'm winging it right now. So when I use notes, I stay on topic and on track a little better. And that's what I use this for. So I sit down and I plan what I'm going to do, how I'm going to say it, kind of the order in which I'm going to present it, and try and keep it, coherent and comprehensive, and most of all, something that you can take away and put to use. Let's get started. Refrigerator performance. Some people have refrigerators, some have absorption style that just drop the temperature by a certain number of degrees. That's the best they can do. Others have this style compressor refrigerator, which is like a household fridge. It just keeps cooling down to a set temperature and uses however much energy it needs to in order to achieve that temperature. A refrigerator versus an ice chest. Well, a fridge starts warm and gets cold. An ice chest starts cold and gets warmer. Now, I bring up the comparison of the ice chest with a refrigerator in that we all know if we take an ice chest and we pack it full of stuff, the stuff is going to stay colder longer than if the ice chest has like 1 or 2 cans of soda pop in it. Full is better than empty. The key to this is thermal mass is the key. That's the secret, if you want to call it a secret. The food, we'll call those the solids, the soda pop, beer, etc. We'll call those the liquids. They have a certain amount of thermal mass, so they absorb and retain a certain amount of cold. Now we store stuff in something else, a can, a plastic tub, all kinds of different storage containers. But the container we're thinking about, well, is a container have thermal mass like the food and the liquid? Some do, some don't. The most common ones we're going to come across and use are probably plastic and metal. Some glass. We can kind of lump glass over with plastic. So plastic and metal, we'll break it off into those two categories. Take a look, plastic versus metal. Plastic's cheap, metal's expensive. Plastic, not really any thermal mass. Metal, lots of thermal mass for its particular mass. A thin aluminum can, not too much. Mostly the liquid has the mass. But a stainless steel kitchen tub, yeah, there's quite a bit of thermal mass in that. Plastic's light, metal's heavy. Plastic or glass breaks down or actually breaks, and metal is, well, bulletproof. The plastic, one purpose. Metal, if it's the right kind of metal, it has multiple purposes. I can use it to store something in, and I can also use it to heat something in, like, for example, over a alcohol or propane stove. Metal is expensive, but strategically, it can be a very good way to store food and beverages. So, how to optimize efficiency? It's not all about, but mostly about thermal mass. We want to keep things in the fridge that will absorb and retain cold, and we want to eliminate as much volume space that's not doing that job, because the refrigerator is working hard to cool things down, and if those things can hang on to that cold during the time we open and close the doors, then the compressor and all the refrigeration parts aren't going to have to work as hard as they would if all that work they did just went out the door. So basically, we got two things inside the fridge, the ice chest, whatever cooling mechanism we're using. We've got stuff and we've got air. Now, stuff, while it varies in the amount, plus or minus, it's got thermal mass. Air? No, almost none. Air is very easy to change the temperature of. Just look at a hairdryer. Turn it on cool, and it blows cool air. Turn it on hot, boom, instantly you got hot air. Turn it back to cool, instantly you've got cool air. So air takes on whatever temperature it's around real fast. So it gains and loses temperature. It can't retain much of anything. It can't stay warm. It can't get cold. It just is what it is. We obviously have to get into the fridge from time to time to take stuff out or put stuff in. That means we got to open the door. So if inside that box there's a lot of empty space, meaning a lot of air, then when we open the door, whatever's cold in there in terms of air gets replaced by warm air rushing in to replace the cold air and mix with it and equalize in temperature. If, on the other hand, the refrigerator is full of stuff and not much air, then most of the stuff retains the cold. The little bit of air that's in there when we shut the door, the cold stuff around it chills that air down very quickly, and the compressor's looking and saying, well, do I need to turn on? Is it time to cool things down? It says, nah, I can kind of take a pass this time because it's pretty much staying about the same. Everything held the cold. So to sum all this up, what we need to do to optimize efficiency, we need to maximize thermal mass in our box here. So let's go take a look. Here are the settings right now, or the readings right now on the refrigerator. It's 21, just over freezing in the box at 34, and outside temperature is about 57. It's actually warmer. The inside of the van is well insulated, so it's staying pretty cool inside the van. Now, inside the fridge, you'll notice the door, well, it's pretty good, pretty full of stuff, thermal mass. And over here, you'll notice I've got things I want to keep chilly up high. That's some vegetable stuff that I want to keep cold. There are some nice cherries I got, butter substitute. Now, when we get down here, let's take a look. Okay, salad. Well, it's got a lot of water in it, so it's going to retain some thermal mass. Down here in the drawer, I've got oranges. Thermal mass, yeah, they're going to stay nice and cold. Spinach and so forth, water, more thermal mass. The bag's got tomatoes in it. Now over here, I'm getting a little weak here I need to put some more stuff down here because I've got air in here, which is going to need to get cooled off once I shut the door. But what I've done here is where I don't have a lot of stuff in the fridge, I've taken bottles of water. Water is good for thermal mass. That's what ice is. That's what we put in our coolers. So I've put water in here. So when the fridge does its work, refrigerating, it's cooling off the water. The water is displacing a lot of the air that would otherwise be in the fridge. And now it's representing quite a bit of thermal mass. So when I button things up and shut the door, I go up here, and all that time I was open, I actually gained a degree of cooling in the freezer and lost one to the fridge. That's not too bad. The secret is thermal mass. The more of that you have and the less air you have, the colder things will stay longer because of the retention of the cold, the work that the fridge did to maintain the coolness of the food. The less that has to happen, the less refrigeration has to be done by the refrigerator, the more energy efficient, the more optimized your refrigeration system will be. So, how can you maximize the thermal mass? You do that by packing things full. We know that with an ice chest. A full ice chest keeps food colder than an empty one does. A full fridge, by the same token, yes, initially a lot of work had to be done to cool everything off. But once that work gets done, and if it's done with solar panels, well, once that work gets done, the things inside, whether they be the food, the type of container you keep the food in, they represent thermal mass. So the more of that that's in the refrigerator displacing the air that's very easily warmed up and now going to warm the food up after the door gets shut, it's going to have to get cooled off again. The food is going to have to give up its coldness to cool the air, or the refrigerator is going to have to kick on and do the job of cooling the air. So either way, the key to keeping things cold is the thermal mass. I hope that helps you. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you think it'll help somebody else, please share it with them. Like and subscribe. Comment as you see fit. So that's it. Till the next video, see you later.